Hi, lovely. So you're here if you want a healthy relationship with food, a normal and healthy relationship with food, even if you still have questions like, yes, that sounds great. Feel like I can do that, probably. That's what I want. The next question that you probably have is how? How do people do that? Now, I can only speak from my experience of working with people through that transition, shall we say. I also want to be respectful to the fact that that is a very, very big question. How do people do that? That kind of takes going through the entire process yourself to really understand fully how people do that, if that makes sense. Nevertheless, we can do our best to create an overview so that conceptually, hopefully it makes a lot of sense to you. So the first thing is the recognition that the relationship with food that you have, whether it's disordered and struggled or healthy, as it were, is the symptom, as it were, or the effect of other stuff. It's like, okay, eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're satiated most of the time. Okay. Well, we've got two options there. We could turn that into a rule. I'm going to eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm satiated 90% of the time, and I'm going to track it and I'm going to enforce that. Or we look at, well, why is that not coming naturally to me already? And what needs to change underneath that to allow for that to come naturally to me? The next part is the recognition that a healthy relationship with food that comes naturally to us cannot be born out of control, rules, restrictions, or willpower. And if we're doing that, then we've basically gone on to what I like to call the intuitive eating diet, or the healthy relationship with food diet. I think it's helpful to think of a healthy relationship with food, this seemingly abstract concept, like style. And I'm going to use the example of interior design style because I've just got a new apartment, looking around it now, and I got it completely empty, and I decided I want to do the interior design for this. I've never done that before, and I think I'd really enjoy it. And I very quickly found that I couldn't. It felt like I spent hours on Pinterest, as per everyone's advice, looking up rooms and design and style, and my style was consistent in what I was looking at. I knew what I wanted when I saw it, but then taking that and actually starting to choose pieces and colors and then bringing the room together so that my apartment looked like or had the same feel as these rooms on Pinterest, completely different thing. But I didn't know at that point why I was finding it so hard. I just thought, and I was joking to my friends, I don't have any style. So I called my brother and I asked for help. He's a designer. I said, help me please. I have no style. And bless him, he really tried to help. And I pretended that the phone call was more helpful than it was. And one of the things he said was, well, you know, a mix of modern and kind of rustic is nice, and then some nice things on the wall. And I was thinking, yes, but I don't know what nice means. So saying that really doesn't help me at all. But then fortunately, I came across the concept of feng shui, which I knew about, but I actually started looking into it, and I was like, okay, spatial arrangement in the room. Okay. I took a few concepts of that. It was tangible, it was logical. I got that. And I moved things around according to these principles. And I was like, wow, this feels a lot better. And all of a sudden I felt a little bit excited about it. I was like, oh, I've learned something. I can develop style. I'm like an infant right now, but there are tangible things and concepts that I can learn bit by bit. Now, just like when I would look at someone like my brother who has interior design style and think, but how are you doing that? You might have looked at someone with a healthy relationship with food and been like, but how are you doing that? Just as someone can develop a sense of style, something which I didn't think was possible until recently, but just as someone can develop that bit by bit, someone can also develop a healthy relationship with food. But not by copying what someone else is doing. That doesn't work. Not by trying to just try really hard to just get it right. That's what I was doing with my apartment. Just trying really hard to get it right. Not by doing any of that, but by developing the necessary understandings and developing skills, mini skills, one bit at a time. And slowly this picture starts to form, and this overarching skill of styling or a healthy relationship with food can be formed. And I think of a healthy relationship with food as just one big skill. made up of lots and lots of mini skills. And that is the way that I teach it. And so what I have seen so much of people talking to me about it is basically what I was doing when I was trying to make my apartment look nice. Is I was going over here and I was going over here. I'm like, maybe I'll get this bit of furniture. Oh, but then will it work with the wall? Like, what color would I get with that? And how do I get another piece of furniture that would look good with that one? And it just doesn't make too much sense. It's too much to think about all at once. How do people possibly ever do this? I must just not have any style. And I see the same thing with people with their relationships with food when they're really struggling with a disordered relationship with food. Is they'll go over here, they'll see a nutritionist over here, and then they'll try to water fast, and then they'll try to just stop emotionally eating, and then they might go to therapy over here. And they're kind of being pulled in all these different directions because they don't fundamentally understand what it is that they are trying to do. It's not tangible. They don't understand it. And so when people say, is it possible to improve your relationship with food? That to me seems just as not ridiculous, because I understand why it's being asked, but we'll use it just as ridiculous of a question as if someone were asking, like I was, can someone develop better style? And the thing is, a lot of what people, by the time they speak to me, have tried over the years, some of it was really helpful and kind of a part of having a healthy relationship with food. You know, I spoke to someone the other day who went to see a nutritionist to help them to kind of resettle their appetite cues and rebalance their appetite. And having a balanced appetite, you know, it's appropriate for our needs. Is that part of a healthy relationship with food? Well, yeah, that's really helpful. It's a part of it. But there comes in the importance of the awareness of the whole picture at large and seeing as I'm going to rebalance my appetite cues. That's really helpful, but it's not the whole picture. And I've got to do these other things as well. But what will often happen is someone might go to a nutritionist like that, they try to work on it and then say, oh, this hasn't helped at all. Scrap all of that entirely. Now I'm going to go to therapy. And they uncover some emotional ties to food and they start to address it, and that's really helpful. And they might think, okay, that's been kind of helpful, but I don't have a healthy relationship with food now that comes naturally to me. Maybe my appetite cues have got out of balance again, or if I have a craving, do I honor my craving? Do I not? How do I make decisions around food? That sense of healthy control isn't there. I'm clueless still. Oh, that didn't work. Let's bring in the next thing. So in summary, conceptually, how does someone develop a healthy relationship with food? And again, I can only speak from my experience, personal and professional experience. First comes the awareness of what a healthy relationship with food actually is. You've got to make that tangible. Even though it seems abstract, it's tangible. You've got to break it down then into the different categories and steps, in essence, of things that need to be addressed in order for a healthy relationship with food to come into fruition. And being aware of the bigger picture at large of all those things that need to be addressed, and then go into focusing on the one part at a time, like developing a balanced appetite, getting in touch with appetite cues, moving past emotional eating, building trust in self, and step by step bringing all of this new understanding and new practice and new skills, bringing them all in together because they're all interconnected, just like with style. All of those elements of style need to come together for a room to look stylish to that person. Now that we've looked at that conceptually, which hopefully was helpful in and of itself, I understand that now you probably want it to be more specific. What are the actual areas that people address that come together to create a healthy relationship with food as a side effect, essentially, as a byproduct? What can your path forward from here look like? I'll see you in the next video.